Hey, Al, how are you doing? I am great. Thank you so much for asking. It's me, Kim, and I'm back. Can you hear me? Just making sure that the audio is fine. Yeah, okay. Just checking. Whew, girl, it took a minute because I just went from Instagram Live to being on here and I had to set things up and connect cords and all of that. Hi, how are you doing? I mentioned over on Instagram that my baby hairs are just like kind of laid. Like I am a negress that has kinky hair, so my baby hairs aren't ever going to be all the way laid. Like that's just not an option for me. Like there's no edge control, there's no product. Like don't give me any fucking recommendations. But I did finally find kind of something that kind of works, like a routine that kind of works. So they're kind of doing something right now. She's biracial. She's biracial, girl. Anyways, if you're not on TikTok, you don't know where that's from. How are you guys doing? I love anybody who knows me knows that I love to talk about the business side of this. That look, I'm not a huge creator, right? Like I'm like a smallish, medium-sized creator. And the fact that I'm able to navigate this space so well and do so well for myself is because I pay a lot of attention to the business stuff. I'm very, very strategic. And I often see people talking about how to make money as an influencer, how to make a life as an influencer, influencer marketing, the creator economy. And it's people who don't do it, have never done it, don't have no followers, don't make no money, right? People who don't really know what they're talking about. And I just feel like the influencer space is so rife with scammers, you know? And I don't want to be like, I make my money making stuff, right? Like I don't make my money selling courses. I don't make my money trying to get shot. Like I make stuff. But when I see so many people trying to like creep into this conversation, and I'm like, but you don't, how are you giving advice when you don't do it? But you don't do it though. So, anyways, I thought that I would come on here and have a business conversation. What I have been doing for the past couple of years is once a year, I do kind of like a webinar type thing where people ask me questions about the business of For Harriet and now Kimberly Nicole Foster, like my own private thing is siloed. So that's also a business now. And so I decided that I'm going to do two this year. I'm going to do a mid-year checkup, like office hours at the end of June. And so if you want to come to that those tickets are not now on sale. It's in the description box. It's called Office Hours with Kim. Look, here is the disclaimer. I have carved out a very specific kind of career, right? There is no guarantee that the stuff that I do, that the tools that I use, that the strategies that I use are going to work for anybody else. But people are really interested in the strategies that I use. And people are asking me all the time to do one-on-one consulting. Again, I don't want to spend my time doing one-on-one consulting. I don't want to do that. So the way that I can not do that, but also share in a really, like closed, intimate setting is via that. So that's going to be at the last Saturday in June. I think it's June 26th. And then if that goes well, maybe I'll do it once a month because I understand making things is hard. But anyways, if you want to do that, but I've also, again, if you want to watch the other like little webinars that I've done, Q&A sessions that I've done about how I got started. What's so interesting is, I'm at this place now in 2021, and I did my first like Q&A about this at the end of 2019. And it's so fascinating for me to go back and watch that Q&A about how I was doing things and managing the business and what my revenue streams are, because it's the same, but it's just like exploded, honestly, over the past year. My business has exploded. And so, yeah, that's super, super fascinating. Anyways, y'all go ahead and do that. You know what I've also been thinking of? Because I opened up the subscribers for the Kimberly Nicole Foster members, YouTube members, and the Substack subscribers, I'm thinking of doing a little subscriber hangout, maybe. Like, I don't know. We'll talk about it later. But anyways, let's get to it. So we've gone over that this doesn't just happen. If you are my size my size creator, you have to be so fucking savvy and so on top of it, right? And generally, when I see creators who are successful, like of any size, there's this idea that it's like easy, like when people want to shit on creators or shit on the fact that so many young people want to be creators, I think that there's this idea that it doesn't take work, right? Like that these people are not running businesses, that they're not savvy, that it's not like a skill set that you have to have in order to be successful. And like 98% of people who are really successful doing this, like have skills. I used to follow David Dobrik really closely before all that shit went down. I used to follow David Dobrik really closely because I was so fascinated by how he was running his business. I mean, like that is, like Dobrik is running like a huge corporation at this point. Wipe the left side of your cheek. Is there something on my cheek? Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. I don't know what that was. Anyways, appreciate y'all. Okay, so anyways, let's go. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the free versus paid debate. I just have a couple of like little things that I want to talk about, okay? The first thing I want to talk about is the free content versus paid content debate that's happening right now. Let's see if this is going to be the right one. Yeah, that's it. All right. So this is a tweet from Austin Reef, who is a co-founder of Morning Brew. And Morning Brew is like a huge, huge, huge newsletter company, right? And so he tweeted, paid subscriptions are overrated. As more tools are created to help creators monetize, we'll find that putting your best content behind a paywall is almost always suboptimal. And then Jacob Donnelly, who runs a media newsletter that I subscribe to, it's called A Media Operator, like a digital media newsletter. It's so good. He wrote, over the next 6 months, more individual creators are going to realize that paid subscriptions inhibit their growth and they can make more money staying free. Ads, job boards, investing, consulting. It may not be recurring, but you'll make more money. And all right, so I found this to be so wrong that I wanted to talk about it. Like, I find this to be so wrong and so off base that I really wanted to talk about it. All right. So one thing that I do agree with is this whole like subscriptions boom where so many people are paying for content is so good for creators, right? It's so good for all kinds of creators and all kinds of niches. And I do think it's unsustainable. I just don't think that people are going to, I pay money to probably 30 different people a month, 30 different individuals, like a lot of people. That's not sustainable, right? Like that's not going to happen forever. And so creators should understand that this subscription boom is going to come to an end. Now, when? I don't like in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, it's going to come to an end. And I know it's going to come to an end because I have been doing digital media for a long time. For Harriet, the brand is going to be 11 years old in June. For Harriet started as a blog. Remember blogs? Remember RSS readers? Remember when there was so much money in blogging? I do, right? Remember when Facebook was the primary aggregator and distribution platform for social media content? I do, right? I have seen so many changes happen in the time that I've been doing this, right? And then I decided to start making videos because I was like, oh, that's where the eyeballs are and that's where the money is. I am very cognizant of the fact that things change. Algorithms change, platforms change, media diets change, tastes change. And so you have to have that in your mind if you are a creator, especially if you are entering the creator economy at this time. Somebody said happy birthday for Harriet. Yes. June 18th is for Harriet's 11th birthday. That is crazy. That is fucking crazy, right? So anyways, everything is temporary, right? But I will say that in this moment, people trying to minimize the importance or impact of subscriptions are crazy. It's crazy. Subscriptions are absolutely a godsend for small and medium-sized creators and for niche creators, people who maybe can get lots and lots of people to subscribe to them, but are operating in a very, very narrow silo. The subscriptions craze is crazy, okay? I mean, crazy in a good way, right? And so just talking about myself, if you are only doing free stuff, right? And it's so interesting that Austin in that tweet talked about putting your best content behind a paywall. Like that will not pay off. That's his argument. And it's like, okay, well, how are we determining what the best content is? You know what I'm saying? So I make decisions about what I'm going to put behind a paywall and behind the paywall really intentionally. Oftentimes I do put my best content on the YouTube channel or make it free because I feel like that is the stuff that's going to have the most impact, cultural impact, whatever. That's like so pretentious, but that's going to have the most impact or it's most shareable. But I'm able to do stuff behind the paywall that I would never do in public. And I feel like it's good and I feel like it's personal and I feel like it's compelling, but it's just stuff that would get no traction if I put it on the For Harriet YouTube channel or if I put it on the Kimberly Nicole Foster channel or put it in the Substack, because it just doesn't appeal to the widest number of people. It's not the most shareable. And somebody like Austin Reeve can say it doesn't help you to put stuff behind a paywall because Morning Brew has 5 million subscribers, right? Yes, like when you're only doing free stuff, you have to play the scale game. When you're only doing free stuff, you have to cater to the stuff that you know is going to be a hit, the stuff that you know is going to be shared, the stuff that you know is going to appeal to the algorithms or people's senses, right? Sometimes you don't want to do that, and it definitely doesn't work if you're in a niche, and it definitely doesn't work if you have 50,000 subscribers, like 50,000 followers. So you always have to play. And by the way, the scale game, I just said this, I just had a little mini viral IG reel about this. The scale game is a losing game. It's a losing game for most people. And it's just not feasible for the vast majority of people, especially if you have a marginalized identity, if you're making identity content, if you're making feminism content, certain kinds of political content, it's just not the game that you really want to be in. Okay. So, and I'll also say that a lot of the verticals that can get millions of subscribers, Morning Brew has millions of subscribers. I find that content to be boring. It doesn't appeal to my tastes, but also I pay 20 or 30 different people. I pay those people because I want those people to have a shot. I pay so many Black creators, Black women creators. Oh, shout out to all the super chats. I'm going to answer all the super chats at the end. I'm able to pay so many people who are using their newsletters or their Patreons to explore their niches and certain ideas, and they're just weird because they won't get a shot anywhere else. So the other thing about the subscription stuff is when you decide to give somebody money every month, you are making a choice, right? Like kind of a political choice about what you value. All right. And it's not the same. It's not the same, right? And that's also why, something like the New York Times is a mass market product, right? But one of the reasons why, like during the Trump administration, the subscriptions for the New York Times or the Washington Post explode is because people are making are telegraphing where their politics are, where their interests are, what side they're on. And so with subscriptions for smaller creators, medium-sized creators, niche creators, you get to do the same thing and have way more impact. How much money do I pay the New York Times for my $10 or whatever? It adds up for the New York Times, but it don't really make that big of a difference. If I'm giving $20 to a small creator, that really matters to them. Okay. And I was also just thinking about, actually, let me find this. Because the other thing about trying to make a mass market product is there was just this article on Vox. Let me pull it up. Sorry, I have two laptops running right now. Let me find the article from Vox about mediocrity. 1 second. Okay, here it is. Let's pull this up. So that's the other thing, right? So often the stuff that is going to get the most followers, the influencers, the newsletters, the whatever that's going to get the most followers is boring shit, like it's stuff that appeals to the lowest common denominator. It is the Addison Rays, you know what I'm saying? It is the Charlie D'Amelios. But obviously, those are not the only people who deserve a shot. And so I do think that when we are talking about the importance of subscriptions, right, the free versus paid debate, we also have to talk about how the economy, right, like the creator economy is just not equal for everybody. The options are just not equal. The payoff is just not going to be equal. And if you're not able to get those huge numbers, it's just not going to pay off for you in the same way. I started my Patreon when I had like 13,000 subscribers on For Harriet, maybe 15,000. But people still subscribe to the Patreon, and that was really important. Okay, life-sustaining money for Kimberly. Okay, don't even let me go back here. Let me exit out this. But I remember, now the For Harriet Patreon is pretty big. It's decent sized. Y'all can look for yourselves if you want to know what pretty big is, and the YouTube members on For Harriet, pretty big, decent sized. I just opened up the members on Kimberly Nicole Foster and just opened up the paid part of the Kimberly Nicole Foster Substack, decent size. But when I had 15,000 subscribers on For Harriet, we'll say 20,000, right? Because I can't remember the exact number. And I opened up the Patreon and wasn't making no money from ads. That $1,000 a month from the Patreon subscribers, like that was how I was paying bills. Okay. That was it. And I didn't want to be, and that's the other thing, right? Okay. Let me go back to doing this. I don't want to be a consultant. Okay. I don't want to run a job board. I don't want to invest, I want to make stuff. And so the vast majority of creators, right, just want to make stuff. So the subscription stuff is how you enable people to have some freedom, some wiggle room to sustain themselves while they're making stuff. But also the other thing about relying on free, which means that you're relying on algorithms, or you're relying on influencers picking it up and sharing it, or you're relying on scale, right? The other thing is, when you have a mix of free and paid, right, and the paid part is robust, then you can make stuff when you want to make it. You don't have to force yourself to make stuff just because something is timely, just because it's going to appeal to the algorithm, just because a lot of people are talking about it. That is the best freedom that I've gotten from deeply investing in a free paid strategy, like free and paid, freemium strategy. So now I have been pretty productive recently because I want to be productive, but there are times when I'm not so productive. But I don't worry about that, right? There are times, sometimes those videos take a long time to make. Sometimes they take a week or more when I'm reading things, like literally reading full books to make a video, reading articles, watching different movies. That's not possible when you're trying to crank out stuff all of the time because you're trying to appeal to the algorithms, because you're trying to make sure that your content is shared. It's not possible. Okay. Someone asked, what's the difference between Substack and Patreon content? Okay, we can get into this. So I started the For Harriet Patreon a couple of years ago because I needed money because I was broke, girl. And For Harriet is very political. It's rooted in Black feminist politics. And so that's the kind of content that I aimed to make over there. And as I've gotten deeper into YouTube and really found that I love to make videos and love to make content, there are all kinds of things that I'm interested in. And so I realized that I was forcing stuff on the For Harriet channel that didn't need to be there, and forcing conversations on the For Harriet Patreon that didn't really need to be there, that didn't 100% align with the Black feminist ethos that For Harriet was founded in. And so I said, I need to make another separate thing so that I have an outlet for all of this other stuff that doesn't necessarily align with the deep, theoretical, political ethos, that undergirds the foundation of For Harriet. And so then I decided to build up my personal Instagram. My personal Twitter has been popping for a minute, but built up the Instagram more, decided to invest in building up the personal YouTube channel. It says sharing, stop sharing. Okay. So then I decided to do that. And so the Substack, over here is more personal. It's more general pop culture stuff. And then the Patreon is more political, theoretical. But I did want to reward the patrons who have invested in me. So if you are a patron at the $5 tier, which I call the Rosa tier or above, you get the paid Substack content and you get the paid For Harriet content. That is a very convoluted strategy, but it makes sense in my mind. Kimberly Nicole Foster is personal and random pop culture stuff, okay? For Harriet is political, theoretical, deep shit. Well-read, well-researched, well-edited. And this is me in my bedroom with no makeup on, but still giving you good shit, okay? Still being real. But I just wanted an outlet to be a different side, because we contain multitudes. Shout out to Walt Whitman. That's that. All right, so let's move on. I have so many notes on this. How long have I been here? 24 minutes. Goodness. Okay. So also want to underscore again that democratization, right, does not mean that you don't need skills. I think it's a great thing that the creator economy has been mainstreamed, that so many people are embracing the idea that you are a creator, you can be a creator, you can start a YouTube channel or TikTok or a Substack or whatever. But it takes skill to be good at this. It takes skill to build and to grow. And so I see so many people who are just frustrated because, and luck, right? Like it's also still a good deal of luck. And so it's hard for me because I see so many people who are so frustrated by what they feel like is, a lack of success, or they're not where they want to be. And I'm like, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and time and patience and luck. And you just have to keep showing up. But it is really hard to keep showing up when you ain't making no money. It is. I will tell you, it's much easier for me to show up now when I know I'm going to make money. It just is. All right. So anyways, when you utilize, right, most creators, my idea is most creators do need to do free content and paid content, because the free content is how you get people to invest in the paid content. Okay. The free content is not necessarily your best content, but your most shareable content, right? The content that is going to reach the most people. And then that's where you tease the content behind the paywall. Or, something that I have done is that's when I say, okay, well, I'm professional, well put together Kimberly in public. But if you want to get messy, Kimberly, if you want to get off the wall, unhinged Kimberly, that's going to be behind the paywall. And that also is good for me as a creator because it gives me more space to explore all facets of myself. So even on the public Kimberly Nicole Foster channel, I am, in my bedroom with no makeup on and, singing Biracial Girl, But I will say, and anybody who is a subscriber or a patron or a member knows that behind the paywall, Kimberly is still the same person, but just nuts, That's an ableist term, but just not, it's, dialed up, should we say. Dialed up, okay? All the way turned up. All the way turned up. That's for my millennials. Millennials, where are you at? Okay, anyways, let's move on. The other thing is, right, the other good thing about the free and paid model of making content is I don't ever second guess any ideas that I have for content. Because if you only have the free stuff where you're trying to get the algorithms, get the right people to share it, tap into some kind of cultural zeitgeist or whatever, then you have to second guess yourself. Are people going to like this? They're not going to like it. They're not going to watch it. They're not going to share it. Now I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Like I come up with an idea now and then I say, okay, now where am I going to put it? Am I going to put it in public? And am I going to put it behind the paywall? Is it going to be a podcast? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be an Instagram reel? It just gives me more options for where I can explore my creativity. So about to start swag surfing. Yes. Right. Okay. And also, I share really personal things, right? It's not just that my personality and who I am is turned up. It is dialed up a couple of notches behind the paywall. And I definitely say things behind the paywall that I would never say in public. But also, I get more personal, right? Like, behind paywall, actually, I can say this. I just convinced my ex from 5 years ago to have a conversation with me to make some, about our relationship and why we broke up, for some behind the paywall content. That is not content that I would ever put out in public. But I have always wanted to do that, like really had deep conversations with friends and family and exes, you know, like healing conversations. But I'm not trying to put all my business out there like that. And it's fine to me. It's fine for me if you want to pay to be nosy, right? Like that's fine. But there's no incentive for me to put that stuff out for free. Okay, anyways. So the free part is really important because that's your funnel. That's how you convince people to go deep with you. And so you do have to, especially when you're first starting out, invest a lot in the free content, right? Like make your free content extra good and extra shareable. And, you know, because if not, then like, how are you going to get people to get to the paid stuff? Totally. But then after a while, like right now, you look on the For Harriet channel and there's hasn't been a video up there in 45 days. But my income hasn't changed because the paid channels are so built up. Because the funnel part, that's the other thing about it. It's like once you invest in making free stuff, right? And then you build up your catalog, you build up your body of work. So I get new subscribers on the For Harriet channel every day, despite the fact that I have not posted in 45 days, because the catalog is so strong. So people are still sharing my old videos, finding old videos, and then, you know, people will comment like, I just watched 5 of your videos in a row, because the catalog is strong. Because I understand that people who have no idea who I am, who are just happen to be searching for Malcolm and Marie or happen to be searching for Ariana Grande, are going to come across that stuff that's out for free in public. And then they're going to go deep. And then I have Patreon links on every single video for the past 3 years almost. And that's how I am getting more subscribers for the public stuff and more patrons for the private stuff, for the paywall stuff. Because the body of work is there. So I do think that when you're first starting out, the emphasis should be on free, but you also have to make just as compelling, if not more compelling content for behind the paywall, because you also early on have to make people have an incentive to pay. So it's just a lot of work is what I'm trying to say. You're just signing up for a lot of work. All right, let's move on. Oh, the other thing about if you're only doing free stuff, right? So as I mentioned, I haven't posted on the For Harriet channel in, I don't know, 45 days, 50 days. Who's counting? Not me. And I can afford to do that because the paid channels are built up. But if you're only investing in free content as a small creator, a medium-sized creator, a niche creator, you're not making money, right? You have to churn it out or you're not going to make money. And I am not tied to doing that anymore. Okay. I've already talked about how people are investing in me. I don't worry about competition, right? So that's the other thing. Is in a lot of these free versus paid debates, people are like, you have to do free because you have to make sure that you're always getting new eyeballs on you. You don't want people to forget about you. You know, people are going to drop off, you know, whatever. Like, I don't care about that. I'm not concerned about that at all, because I do like being able to go deep. I love new people finding me. Love that. Appreciate that so much. But the more valuable relationship are people who want to go deep with me. That's more valuable to me. And it's more fun, to be honest. Because the other thing, I mean, if we want to get the other thing about doing the free stuff is you do grow your subscribers, grow all of that, reach new people, but it also opens you up. And maybe this is just me because, you know, I have very strong opinions, very strong controversial opinions, but it also opens you up to more abuse. And that's the other reason why I have no problem not uploading on For Harriet for a month and only doing For Harriet Patreon stuff, because then I don't have to deal with the abuse that comes. The abuse, girl. And if you follow me, you know what I'm talking about. So I thought that I would talk about an example of this, right? So actually, let me go ahead and pull it up. Let's talk about Kelly Stamps, whom I love and adore. I should have had this up, but you know, I'm a mess. Kelly Stamps YouTube. Okay. Share. Okay. Okay, so this is Kelly Stamps, whom I love, by the way. I was on Kelly Stamps early. People who follow me know that I was on Kelly Stamps early, reached out to her, said, you're doing your thing, love you so much and everything, right? Because I just thought, like, pretty girl, quirky personality, like, I knew she was gonna be it. Like, I'm such a good talent scout, okay? I knew she was gonna be it. And so Kelly Stamps recently on her YouTube channel made a whole video about how much money she makes and how she spends her money, right? Watch it, you know, she's making $40,000 a month because she has a huge YouTube channel. How many subscribers does Kelly Stamps have today? She has 631,000 subscribers. Let's see that video. Okay, wait, sorry. Okay, videos, 94,000, 88,000, 100,000. So let's say she's averaging like at least, I mean, this one has 400,000, averaging at least 100K per video. Has 30 million views, joined in June 2017. So joined YouTube 4 years ago, literally killing it. Love it. We love to see Black girls winning. I'm obsessed with it, right? So $40,000 a month is a ton of money, right? Kelly is a big YouTuber. Okay. I actually don't have a problem talking about exactly how much money I make, but that's paywall content. Like I wouldn't say it in public because that's paywall content. I will say that I make close to what Kelly makes in a month. The business does. For Harriet, the business, right, which is Kimberly Nicole Foster LLC, makes close to what she makes. I don't make as much as she makes, but I don't make that much less. I don't make that much less a month than what Kelly makes. So anyways, again, I don't have a problem talking about, I will absolutely talk about, I have no problem laying out the numbers, laying out how it works, laying out the revenue streams. But the great thing about paid content, the free and paid strategy, is you don't have to be a Kelly Stamps, whom I love and adore and I'm obsessed with, and who actually inspired me to buy fewer clothes, because I always appreciated that Kelly had a great capsule wardrobe, but let's not get up on that. You don't have to have 600 and almost 50,000 subscribers to make tens of thousands of dollars a month. I don't want to hang on the money stuff, but you know, right. And I will also say something that I will, again, am so proud of is, oh, it's raining in Dallas. Sorry, it's raining. I also have to do stuff. That's why I laid my baby hair. Okay. Anyways, my baby hair. I will also say that I am quite proud of the fact that I make money by making content. I make money by making content. I'm not trying to call people out. I'm not trying to call people scammers. It's just interesting to me that so many people who want to give advice about making money and revenue streams and making content and being an influencer make their money primarily by selling people courses. That's fine. That's fine. People want guidance. That's fine. But it's a different thing when you make money by making stuff. It's different. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, there is strategy. Same. The video shocked me because I wasn't aware how much it pays. I expected that income out of a mega influencer. She's hitting 1 million subs by the end of the year for sure. Oh, for sure. Oh, Kelly is out of here. You know, like, it's like, I'm like even surprised that like Kelly hasn't been signed by like a talent agency. Like, where is CAA? You know what I'm saying? Where's William Morris Endeavor? Okay. So anyways, so the key, right, is to build up microeconomies. And also, if you subscribe to the newsletter that I'm going to, there's so many resources that I have that I'll just like list off, like so many articles and resources and whatever that I'll just like include in the newsletter. So when you create a microeconomy, you don't have to worry about being huge. And so now, right, because I am constantly thinking about, because I'm in my 30s, Kimberly is not a spring chicken. I'm 32, and YouTube is, frankly, a young person's game. I do have to think about what the next thing is. And so having those other sources of income allows me to have some breathing room to say, okay, what's the next thing that you're going to do? I very aggressively invest. I save a lot of money. I am about to hire a writing coach to like help me like through this process of like finally figuring out how to write a book and hold me accountable. And if I was still struggling, like trying to do like get the Facebook or the YouTube or the Twitter algorithms to be on my side, that would not be possible. In fact, you know, people have been approaching me about writing a book for years. Again, for Harriet is 11 years old. People have been approaching me about writing a book for years. And okay, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. That's probably too personal. But I am glad that I'm glad I never signed a book deal. I'm so glad, because focusing on creating up my own content hubs, focusing on building up my own platforms puts me in a much better position to negotiate a real book deal with real advance money versus when they were offering me $20,000 or $40,000 a couple of years ago. I mean, right, like, I don't want to get too deep into that, but you know, that's paywall content too. All right. The only thing is, right, I also think that we have to be really real about the free versus paid stuff. And I do think that for most people, free and paid is the way. And I figured out luck and skill make a lot of money. But something, you know, I was reading The Economist today, and I don't know how recent this stat is, but they said 98% of the people on Patreon make less than $1,257 a month. So like the vast majority of people on Patreon are just barely making it. So again, that's why I'm like, I can tell you what I've done. I can tell you my blueprint and my strategy and the way that I maneuver. But I am very, very cognizant of the fact that for most people, it's just not going to be feasible. I think we have to be honest about that, right? Like, the numbers that we're seeing now, like the vast majority of people who make stuff are not making enough money to make a living. I thought that was interesting, and I'm always paying attention to new things, Somebody finally convinced me that NFTs are not a scam. So yeah, like I definitely benefit from being open and malleable and deeply investing in keeping up with media trends and listening to media people talk about the media business and listening to tech people. And I study, what works for other people. That's the other thing. When people are like, how did you do this? How did you get good at this? And I'm like, I study. The people who are good at social media overwhelmingly are investing time into researching and studying and looking and like trying new things, iterating. It doesn't just happen. And I'm like, and that's the other thing I get really annoyed by, because it's like, I figured this shit out by fucking just studying hard, trying new shit, And I'm okay sharing what I've learned, but it's like, don't you think you want to try some shit, do some shit, make some shit before you ask, Like, that's just like my preference, right? Like, take some initiative. How long have I been doing this? 45 minutes. Okay. FYI, creators have to make stuff to make a course, and it's actually a better option strategically. You can create less. Sure, right? But like, I like making stuff. I don't have a problem selling, obviously. There's merch and I sell the Patreon. But I am somebody who has a lot of opinions. I've had a lot of opinions since I was a little kid. I always wanted to have an outlet to share those opinions. And so I love that anytime I have a thought or an idea or an opinion, that I can sit down and make stuff. And I am going to be I'll be completely real with you. I do think that the course is shit. Some of it is legit and a lot of it's not legit. That's as real as I can be about it. Some of it is legit and a lot of it is not legit. And a lot of it is people taking advantage of desperate, broke Black folks and selling their shit that they don't know enough about to people just so that they can come up. And that's as real as I can be about the courses shit. So if you are a person who sells courses and you're not a scammer, congratulations, I support you. I have paid for courses that I think are useful. But the realist that I can be about it is a lot of people are trying to hit a lick and are exploiting marginalized people's desperation to hit a lick. And if we're not being honest about that, I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all, because that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. Okay. All right. So I do have another part of this, but I've been doing this for 48 minutes. What would you say is next for creator monetization if Patreon doesn't exist? I mean, there's all kinds of, that's too much of I can't get off in that. That's like a question. Honestly, that's an office hours question, because I do have lots of thoughts about that, but I have something else to get into, right? Okay. This is going to be such a long video, but I just have a lot to say. All right, we're moving into the next portion of this. So recently, I uploaded something to my Instagram, and somebody asked me, do I think that life as an influencer is sustainable? And no, not really, kind of. It depends, right? Like, it depends. It really, really depends, right? Because it's like, life as an influencer is sustainable for like a Kim Kardashian or like a Jackie Aina or like, but like for the vast majority of people, influencer life is not going to be sustainable. Let me put on some lip gloss. I'm sorry. Just bear with me here. It's like when you have a bare face, you just have to. Okay. So at this point, am I an influencer? Yes, right? Am I going to be an influencer in 5 years or 10 years? I don't know, but I am actively building up stuff where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? So I'm an influencer, but I also run a media company that has survived multiple iterations of the digital economy. Like I mentioned before, I started for Harriet 11 years ago in my college dorm room, and it transformed as the media landscape transformed. And that is something that I'm probably most proud of, is my ability to adapt as things adapt, right? And so I have developed a wide array of skills that help me adapt. And because I spend so much time studying and listening to podcasts and reading, right? Like it helps me to like keep up with the times as a 32-year-old, right? And so I'm an influencer. I run this business. I'm a writer. Like that's the other thing that people like don't recognize is like I've like written for real publications like multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that's, the only reason why, in fact, if we really want to get into this, the reason why I decided to start doing YouTube is because I thought, oh, I could write these ideas down, because most of my YouTube videos have scripts, right? I could write these ideas down and make them into an essay, but I knew that I could get more traction making videos about them, right? Instead of just writing them, I knew that like video recorded cultural commentary that is structured like an essay would get much more traction and make me more money than it would if I decided to be a writer and just write for The Guardian or Forbes or Newsweek or all of those other places that I've written. That was the strategy. So I'm a writer, I'm a theorist, I'm a speaker, right? I'm a really good interviewer. Last month, I talked to 4 colleges, right? And so when I am giving talks at colleges, right, they're not asking me about influencer Kim. They're asking me about the interviews that I've done. They're asking me about, the theories that I've laid out. They're asking me about the business stuff, right? That's not influencer shit in the traditional sense. That's like public thinker shit. That's business owner shit. And I don't shy away from like the influencer label now, because now I am doing more just like influencer stuff because I like that stuff. But it is important to me that I always create space for multidimensionality. I'm not just like frivolous, like Kimberly, like consumer Kimberly. I'm also like deep thinker Kimberly. That matters. And I will also say one of the reasons why in my 30s, I can be frivolous Kimberly and also be deep thinker, serious college lecture Kimberly is because in my 20s, I spent so much time building up the serious thinker feminist credibility with For Harriet. That is something I'm really, really glad that I did and I invested in, because that's how I can sit on panels with scholars, right? That's how I can keynote conferences, right? That's how I can have so many people I respect and admire say, I love your work. I appreciate your work. Like they know the For Harriet brand name. That was really, really important. Super important. And so sometimes people ask me, like, if I had to do it again, would I just do Kimberly Nicole Foster and not create the For Harriet brand? No, I wouldn't. The For Harriet brand part is so important. It's so important. And then I can be weirdo, frivolous, messy ass Kimberly on my private, right? On my personal. But to have that division is so critical to how I'm able to navigate my professional life. Okay. It's like, even last year, like I did an event with Angela Davis, right? Like if I just had the influencer shit, I wouldn't be able to do the other shit. All right. But I do think that in 2021, you have to be able to do both things. So having both kinds of skill sets, serious thinker skill set, serious writer skill set, and the marketing influencer, like creator economy skill set, that is also really important and really useful. All right. So I also wanted to say, but also, again, right, getting personal, right, integrating the intellect, the intellectual Kimberly with the personal Kimberly, that is why my income has exploded in the past year. Because I recognize that people like the ideas and they're moved by the ideas, but people also really want to go deep with me. And I want to go deep with y'all. Like, I love sharing my business. I love sharing my business. Okay? Anybody who follows me knows, like, I'm a professional oversharer. I love that. But that don't need to be next to like the serious interview shit. Okay. So here's the thing, right? I think that my career has most benefited from the way that I'm able to use Twitter. I feel like Twitter has by far given me the most professional opportunities. It's connected me with people that I never would have been connected with. First of all, what's so weird? I'm 32 years old. I started my first Twitter account when I was 19, 18, young ass person, right? And so being good at Twitter has really helped me. But also the thing about my Twitter account is, if you follow me, I be messy over there. I'm all over the place. It's a real mixture of messy Kim, oversharing Kim, and intellectual thoughts Kim. And somehow that does not scare people away. And so, I've been reading all of these articles right now about how everybody is going to have to invest in like being, an influencer light, right? Everybody is going to have to invest in sharing and being open and being thoughtful and navigating their multiple selves in public, right? Like, unfortunately, because we don't have social safety nets in this country, so many of us are having to market ourselves in that way. I was just on that wave really early, right? And like, I was on that wave when people were like, how are you going to get hired? And nobody's going to take you seriously, But I was like, well, and I recognize that like indulging in all of my interests and talking about, celebrity gossip and then talking about the reality TV and all of that, like there are definitely people that I pissed off. There are definitely people who will never work with me because of something I've tweeted. There are definitely people who, think that I'm unserious and frivolous, whatever. Still, I've gotten so many opportunities from Twitter. Real, serious, professional looks from Twitter. So, I mean, that is the thing about like, the authenticity shit. Like, I have really benefited from never buying into this idea that the only way that you can be a successful person is by, only tweeting like perfectly professional things and not swearing and, not, whatever. It's like, people are drawn to that. Right? Like, that's how I was connected to Ibram Kendi, right? Like, he follows me on Twitter. I mean, that's how I've connected to a lot of people that I interview, honestly. Like big name people, like they follow me on Twitter. Like, they know me. They know me. They know of me. And so it's been a huge upside. Being good at Twitter is a really lucrative skill, but I will also say somebody once asked me on one of these videos, like, do you think you're only able to navigate your career in this way because you speak the way that you do and because you went to Harvard? And the answer is probably. Probably. I mean, I'm really, really honest about the fact that um, the Harvard stuff, like the brand name stuff, like the Ford stuff, the fact that I speak this way, it does make me more palatable. People are willing to engage me as a serious person, even when I'm being deeply unserious, even when I'm being messy as fuck, because they'll be like, oh, well, she must be smart or something. Totally. I will totally own that. Cop to that. 100%. But also I will say, and this is the other thing, right? Privilege absolutely plays a part in it. Totally. But the other thing is, I'm never worried about being messy or saying shit or getting canceled or whatever, because my shit is tight. My shit is good. When I sit down to make a real scripted recorded video, when I am writing out a script, when I am doing my research, I make sure that the shit is together. When I am going to sit down and interview a person or have a panel discussion, I am prepared. I want to be the best. And so even if you don't fuck with Kimberly on a personal level, you will never be able to tell me that my shit is not together. It's just not going to happen. All right. So gosh, I am tired now. I've been doing this for a second. It's been an hour, so we're going to wrap this up. I have more to say about it, but we'll just have to get to it at a different time. That's it. Well, this was fun. I'm going to go and look at the super chats to see what y'all chatted me. Monetization, supers. Do you get all the donations via super chat? I think YouTube takes like 30% of the super chat donations. I love your content. Thank you so much, Trent. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Oh, okay. Was it scary to go all in without knowing how much you would make? Okay, I guess I can answer a couple of questions before we wrap it up. Was it scary to go all in without knowing how much you would make? I mean, yeah, it's scary, but I say all the time that there were no other options for me. There's no other options. There is no plan B. So, I mean, I've been broke, you guys. Like, I've been broke. Like, borrowing money broke. Okay? Okay. But even when I was broke and like anxious and staying up all night because I wasn't making any money, I still was like, this is going to work. Always. Always knew that it was going to work. But that's the other thing. You know, I've talked in another video about how living in Oklahoma for so long, in that little cheap apartment for so long, is what helped me to sustain myself. I just moved to Dallas, which is a much more expensive city. I just bought an expensive car. My overhead for my lifestyle was so low for so long that was how I was sustaining myself. So like this idea that you have to live like in a big expensive city or you have to spend so much money on rent or whatever, I would not still be doing this if, you know, when I first moved into that apartment in Oklahoma, the rent was $650 maybe. It maybe was less than that. It might have been $630 when I first moved in there. It was nothing. So I always knew that like, if I can just make, if I can just make like $750 a month, Okay? Like, my shit is good. Okay. Let's see. I appreciate you sharing the story of how you were before for Harriet and how we're not always on top of your stuff like you are now. It shows that things take time and a lot of effort. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been up and I've been down. And so now, when I was in my 20s, I made so many, ridiculous mistakes and financial mistakes. And, I had to do it to know not to do it. But now in my 30s, now that things are looking up again, now I have so many safeguards, like investment accounts, an accountant, and lawyer. And I hired help, as soon as I could, because I can't afford to make those same mistakes again. I literally can't afford it. And also, paying off debt. I don't have student loans anymore. I paid off my student loans as soon as I could. So that, if shit goes wrong, okay, I'll just have a little bit of cushion. A little bit of cushion. Okay, I'm tired. That is it. Thank you. What is your advice for smaller creators? I mean, that's such a big question. That's such a big question. I can't answer it now. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you enormously. Thank you for hanging out with me over here where I am just messy, fun Kim, hanging out in my pajamas, hanging out in my bedroom. And thank you to all the For Harriet supporters who get, more well put together Kim, controversial Kim, shit stir Kim, okay? Like Asian provocateur Kim. I appreciate that, right? Because like this only works because people, have said that the platform is worth it and have said that I'm worth it. So I appreciate y'all. I will talk to you later.